about today, make sure you comment 8 if you feel good today. All right, comment 8 if you feel good today, because I feel amazing. Okay? I feel amazing. I feel amazing. All right? I feel amazing. All right, we back in Florida full time. Okay? Back in Florida full time. And I feel rather dashing right now, okay? All right. Now, what is some information that I learned, okay, that changed my life? All right. Comment 8 if you can hear me loud and clear. Comment 8 if you can hear me loud and clear. All right. Let me know if I need to get my headphones. Y'all have to get this message today. All right. Okay, cool. All right. Now, a little bit about myself for those that just started following. All right. Before I was teaching consumer law, contract law, I did a lot of different jobs. I don't know anyone that has had more jobs than me. Okay. Anybody that knew me before the teaching career, all right. Everyone that knew me before that knew, man, this dude be having like 10 jobs in 1 month. Why? Because I was never loyal to a job. Okay? I was never loyal to a job. Alright? What was I loyal to? Getting a paycheck so I can pay my bills. Alright? Comment 8 right now. Alright? If you're only working so you can pay your bills. You're not really loyal to your job. All right, you're more loyal to what the job brings you, because in your mind, the job brings payment so you can pay your bills. Right? All right, that's why I had the job. Oh, Luana, it's a peace and love, guys. I got your message. I know we backed up, but I got you. All right. But one thing about it, one thing that I learned, okay, a lot of times you hear all the time, you know, build your credit up, because from those jobs that I was doing, all right, and family, I had jobs all around the country. I've had jobs in California. I've worked in North Dakota, all right, I've worked in, Idaho, Davenport, Iowa. All right, I've been all over, y'all. All right, and it was due to me chasing a bag, chasing the top dollar. All right, I would literally go to a job, be there for a week. If another job calls me paying $1 more, I was out of there. Now, to each his own. All right, some people feel like that's not a good way. I just knew in my mind I wasn't gonna be working forever. All right, I just needed to make enough to get me to my next ideal. All right, comment 8 if you're only working to make enough to get you to your next ideal. Comment 8. Comment 8 if you're only working. Okay, you might not even have any kids.
This don't got anything to do with bills and notes. I'm gonna have to stop my broadcast all over because he done. Hey, how y'all doing? Welcome to the broadcast. Now, I was trying to give y'all some insight on bills, notes, and affidavits. If you all have any questions about bills, notes, and affidavits, that's what this broadcast is about. And I clicked on that video without proper preparation. I should have researched the content prior to selecting that particular video for demonstrative purposes. And but we can continue on based on some of the information that he initiated and said that he was going to discuss. And if you all have any questions, please leave your questions in the chat. Hold on one second. I can't see any comments. Thank you all for joining me. We had 10 in the chat. We have 5 now. Oh, we still have 10 in the chat. Oh, I apologize. Let me open up the chat. The chat is open. Thank you all for joining me. Welcome. If you have any questions, please leave them in the chat. If you'd like to know about the topic or any other related question to any of the content that we have on the channel, you're welcome to ask questions now. We have 11 watching, okay? And so this is what we're discussing right now. 1099A, 1099C, and we skipped the 1099B, which is included in the ABCs, what they call the ABCs of accounting. And so, who is this? Okay. You have a question? Thanks for joining me. I appreciate you all joining me. You may wonder, why does the title say bills, Bibles and bills? Bibles and bills. And I'm sure you've never seen those two words together. Bibles and bills. And Bibles and bills is very similar in nature. And so the reason why I titled the live performance of the bills of exchange, and that's what we are studying when we wanting to learn how to process 1099As, 1099C, or 1099Bs, 1099 series. And of the two series, of the series, the two that are many times made it are the 1099A and the 1099C. And many people who are processing these documents are under a misunderstanding that anyone can process these documents, okay? And that is true to some degree. Anyone who is knowledgeable is welcome to process these documents. Anyone who's knowledgeable of how they work and what their purposes are welcome to process these documents. It's as with someone who is claiming to be a tax preparer, right? And you do not have to have a tax preparer license, so to speak. You can have a tax preparer number, or that's a registration as a tax preparer. But however, anyone can process their own taxes. You can um, balance your own books. That's what processing taxes is, balancing your own financial estate matters. However you want to describe that entry is a ledger entry. And for those of you who don't even know what a ledger is, well, that means we would have to start all the way back to the old days when they had ledgers, okay? And they called these type of I would say documentation, a transaction, documentation of a deal going down, documentation of any type of merchant activity was considered a bill or a note. And people would exchange bills and notes. And for example, if you came to my general store and you purchased something from my general store with your personal guarantee that you will pay me at some future date, and you come into Mr. Harvey's hardware store and you come in and you say, I need some lumber, I need some tools, I need some nails, and then I go out and I allow you to uh, take those items and goods on home to your ranch and build your ranch up, and you promise me on a handshake that as soon as you get things up and running and can produce some type of value out of what you're working on, that you will come back and honor your word and give me the value in exchange for what I have given you right now. That's old school credit 101. Okay, that's old school credit 101. You say you gonna bring me back once you get your farm going, and you gonna allow me to um, keep fresh vegetables in my home in exchange for me allowing you to come and get the materials that you need to build your farm or your crops, and tend to them until they mature, until they bear fruit, okay? Until they bear fruit. This is where you get the word bearer, bearer, okay? Until they bear fruit. And so neither one of you are expecting any money from each other. What you are expecting or making an exchange of, an expectation of an exchange of value on a future date. That's credit, okay? On a future date, meaning anytime the words on you see in the bill of exchange or Federal Reserve or whatever, and you see the words on the expected an exchange on an expected day, or under conditions on an expected day, is a futuristic term, meaning credit is involved. Because if credit was not involved, there would be no terms of future compensation. Whatever monetary value that's going to be exchanged in uh, a transaction that occurs instantly, then that's done instantly. So there's no future date for anything to occur. Okay? So when reading the bill of exchange, is important that you understand what these terms mean from the giddy up, because trying to understand things on your own terms and then extracting out of words your own understanding can sometimes be a misrepresentation on your part. Because uh, if in fact what you believe is true, then whatever you believe should be able to check out. And what I mean by it should be able to check out is it should be able to be balanced out. Is in essence that everything that I have spoken on this channel, you can verify its truth or validity or authenticity. Okay? A lot of times people are having long drawn out broadcasts where they're speaking a lot about their personal experiences and hoping that they can draw your attention or keep your attention based upon the excitement of the lifestyle that you're living. Okay. Now, on that, in that regard, it is good to give people hope and help them to see that uh, if you have made some levels of accomplishment and they can then duplicate that, then that gives them some inspiration and some hope. Okay. However, what I have noticed about a lot of people who have acquired the money, okay, aspect of getting hold to credits or credit lines, okay, the only thing I see is that many of them are very desolate. Like, not desolate, but alone, lonely, by themselves, no one to love them. And thank you, hon. Thank you for joining me. I can't see the comments real clear, but I appreciate all comments. Um, Hold on, I'm finna try to get a dark screen so that I can see the comments. 1 second. All right, hold on. Yeah, because sometimes people they portray it to you that they are living it up, you dig? And I understand if they living it up, I understand that if they living it up. But if you living it up, then why isn't there anyone to share it with you? Why isn't there anyone there to? Thank you. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate you all joining me. I can't see the comments right now. Um, if you all can help me out, I'm trying to see your comments, love. Hold on one second. I don't know why. Oh, we got another subscriber. Is that what y'all was trying to tell me? Somebody subscribed. All right, all right. Okay, let's get it, love. Okay, I'll put it on a darker screen so hopefully when the comments scroll about, I can come on in and put your 2 cents in. Come on. Okay. Hold on one second. Let me move the screen out the way so I can see the comments, okay? Money isn't real. Okay. Who said that? Money isn't real. Okay. Why do you say money isn't real? Okay. Hey, KLB, I can't see the names there. If they're real long, I can't read them. So I'm speaking back. How y'all doing? Thank you for joining me. But who asked the question? No, who made the statement that money isn't real? Because you can't be just a certain stuff. Okay, Cabo Haywood, thank you for joining me. But who was that? You? Who said that money is not real? I saw that comment, and if you make a statement, you got to be able to stand on it now, because that's what affirmation is. When you make a statement, you got to be able to stand. Oh, he left? Oh, okay. But is anyone in the chat, do y'all agree with that statement? Money isn't real? Oh, you the only one. You're not the only one here. It's registering more people here. But you the only one speaking for now, I reckon. But you don't agree with that? Okay. What do you consider to be equivalent to money? If you believe that money is real, oh, you don't know? Okay. What do you use? Okay. What do you use most? Do you use cash, money, or credit? I'm gonna give you time to type in your answer. Anyone who enters in the room, you're welcome to answer the question. What do you use most, cash or credit? Okay, credit. So do you use credit or debit? Do you use the credit option or you use the debit card? Okay, credit. All right. Okay, so are you already familiar with most of these processes? Okay. What I want to ask you, what drew you to this broadcast? What is it? Is it could you learn or tell us? What could you learn or tell us? You seem to be very knowledgeable. Oh, you have to go now? All right. Thanks for joining us. All right now. All right. Thank you. Thank you for joining me. Okay. Well, we'll continue on with the broadcast and answer the questions. Not as there wasn't a question, it was a statement that was made, a comment that was made in the broadcast. And whoever it was, they left. And I'm going to go ahead and address that statement that money is not real. Money is not real. Who all believe that statement or stand with that statement? Please type in the chat if you agree with that statement. If you do not agree with that statement, type in the chat, money is real. Okay. If not, if you want to just free range it, that'll even be better. Your response. I'm just giving you some types of ideas of what you can comment that'll let us know where you at on your understanding and your knowledge of these processes, or what we're even talking about as far as processes. Hello, welcome. You back? All right. Are you able to explain or tell us a little bit about what you know? Would you like to I didn't have it on the split screen this time, but you're welcome to come and share your knowledge of these processes. But I'll go ahead and start put my 2 cents in. How about that? A lot of times people are a little bit intimidated and by the live platform or cold introductions, okay? And you may be very knowledgeable about the subject, or you may have a specific question in mind that attracted you to this channel and or the title on this live broadcast. Most importantly is that you get what you need, and that for us that we provide what you need. If you need to share, see, one thing people need to understand about being sovereign: if you are a stingy person, you cannot be stingy and sovereign. Those two things are the opposite of each other. Sovereignty is in its essence explained as a wholeness in one. Not a hole in one, a wholeness in one. A wholeness in one. And what I mean by that is that you cannot be whole within yourself until you see the world as one, as yourself. Okay? That's where we get to the scripture, the Bible scripture that says to treat your neighbor, what? As yourself. Okay? That's the wholeness in one. What I call the wholeness in one. It's the Queen Candy version. I call it the wholeness in one law. Okay? The wholeness in one law. That if it don't benefit all who are involved, whatever it is, any type of business dealing, your actions, what you did, what you said, how you behaved, your decision, whatever it is, if it does not benefit all who are involved. Say like somebody make a deal, say, we all gonna get wealthy, we gonna get rich, and we gonna fuck over these people right here. It don't really matter. They ain't shit. You understand? They ain't doing shit. They ain't shit. It don't matter. It's not that big of a deal if we fuck over them. Okay? And they rationalize in their mind or with each other in conspiracy against another. Well, when they do that, thank you, love. When they do that, okay, the only thing, thank you, love, the only thing that can create a situation where that agreement that they made there is nothing that can create a situation where the agreement that they made can stand. And the reason that the decision that they made cannot stand is because it's against the one. And you'll hear like in the Obama campaign, they say leave no man left behind. And that was a beautiful theory to uphold as a campaign, slogan or what have you. But it's even more beautiful in reality when we care enough about each other to understand that there is no level of success that any one person can reach or imagine to have accomplished without another. A lot of times on this journey, you will have people who will agree with you. You'll have people who will say that they understand you or they understand these systems, okay? But they're prone to be liars, okay? They're prone to be liars because a lot of people who lie are lying because they feel that they have to live up to some degree of being intellectually competent, and or if they have try to establish that they are some type of leader, then they don't want to lose face in front of their constituents. And I keep saying constituents because people don't understand when they are a constituent. They think, if, okay, say example, like these guys that used to follow me a lot on my other real talk sessions, and they watch everything I do, right? Watch everything I do, critique it, go on their channel, talk about it, and all of that. I mean, in depth. They just not really in depth. I'll just say shallow talk discussions about it because they don't be in depth. And they will go on their channels and they will discuss what I'm saying on my channel. But they never would come to my channel to debate me. And the reason why people do that is because they don't really have no grounds with which they standing on. And if they don't have no grounds with which they standing on, or they learn some shit from somebody else, a lot of times they be scared that I'm a bust them. They're gonna be busted, and they don't want to be busted in in the public. I understand that. I understand. I really do. I really, really do. I I wouldn't want to be busted either, So I understand that. But don't throw your flag up. I mean, don't claim you know what's going on if you ain't ready to throw your flag up. You understand? I'm just give you fair warning. Don't throw your motherfucking flag up now if you ain't ready to go on and stand your ground. Because that's basically what you're doing when you say I know what I'm talking about, and then I keep proving you wrong. Then that means you standing on shaky grounds. You might need to rethink that because you're standing on shaky grounds. That's simple. Why would you want to be standing on shaky grounds? You've seen different when we used to watch Gilligan's Island, and every now and then they'd have an episode where Gilligan or one of them, they done went and wandered off, and I think it was Gilligan wandered off and got caught up in the quicksand, and I think it was one after another they got caught up in the quicksand. But anyway, the point is that is what happens when people are teaching stuff that they don't have any knowledge of. You can't be. That's the blind leading the blind. Y'all all in the quicksand. You understand? That's why the Bible say the blind, when the blind lead the blind, they both will gonna fall in the ditch because you don't have no sight. One of the people that the person that's leading need to be able to see. How you gonna lead somebody if you can't see? Even somebody that's blind can lead you, and you have physical eyesight, because a person that is physically blind isn't necessarily mentally blind. Okay? So they may see the world, but they may see it differently than you do. And so they see the world in sound and vibrations, tones. They see colors probably a different way, because they are in the void and in the void. So they probably see colors differently, you know, because they inside one world and outside the other. They inside of the darkness and inside two worlds at the same time. And they're not able to translate from their world to ours. But many times if the person is born blind, they never even experienced seeing or sight, meaning that they came into this realm but never really came all the way in. They never really came all the way in because they can't even see or perceive or relate to whatever it is that you can try to describe to them. They can't relate at all. Not at all. If even if you was to try to relate to them what a person looked like, they wouldn't even be able to relate to that. Isn't that something? That the sight is so powerful to the degree that if you do not have sight, it's a physical impossibility to relate to a person that does. It's an absolute physical impossibility. In order to transfer an understanding or relay anything, both of the two people would have to be experiencing or have experienced something of similar nature, all right? Something to reference back to, you know? Like a lot of jokes a blind person wouldn't be able to, get. Why is it funny? Because they can't see the expression of the person when they did the joke. That was the funny part of the joke. Okay, the look on the person's face, a silly look or whatever expression. That landed the joke. That's what made the joke funny in retrospect. So a person that's blind, they would miss that aspect of it, in a humor would not carry over because of that reason. I would think, people are always so busy stealing ideas that people are already have in use, right? But they don't realize a lot of times I get a lot of the things that I've done, a lot of the businesses that I've started was because everybody's trying to do what somebody else is doing. And so I noticed that in all the hustle and bustle of the 30 gazillion YouTube channels that was up and running, that nobody was talking real talk. So I started the real talk sessions years ago. Then I noticed that everybody was complaining about the music industry and how terrible they're treating their artists and making them do sexual favors and so forth and so on. And just complaint. And then so the other uh, side of the spectrum is you had people who were starting their own thing, but they were so selfish that they all were just kind of fighting against each other. So they couldn't organize anything worthwhile individually or together to make a stance against the record labels. So it was a house divided against itself. It couldn't stand the independent industry. So what has happened now is that a lot of people who are were delving into trying to be independents realize that that shit ain't as easy as you thought it was. Now, was it? Okay? I don't need no record label. I can I can get my own computer and I can make my own music, and I'm a producer and I'm a this and I got my own label and this and that and this and that. And they did all of that in rebellion to the record label. That's good. Okay? That you thought to pull away. You had sense enough to say, that's not for me. But as I always say, people go from one extreme to the other. Many of the independent artists that I came across on my way to learning the industry, on my path and journey, I realized why they didn't advance. And some of them that I met along the way, they watched me. And they surface every now and then. Oh, Candy, I see you doing this. I see you doing that. But these are the same people that in the beginning, I tried to get them involved. I didn't try to do-it-myself agency. I think the do-it-yourself agency is the stupidest agency ever created. And I know it's not no such thing as specifically as a do-it-yourself agency. But I'm speaking hypothetically to the group of people who do that's the way they go about doing things. So selfish. To the point where they hurt themselves. Old folks used to call it, they say, You cut off your nose to spite your face. That means you thought you was doing whatever you doing, keep somebody else out, keep them from whatever in your mind you think you protecting. Most people that think they protecting something don't got nothing. And bless their heart. This man at the gas station the other day. Man, I wish I would took a video. But things happen in life. And you can't just video everything. But the man, I went in the store, pay for some gas. Now, he didn't know that I knew exactly how much money I had. And I went in the store, make my purchase, come on out. You know how you have your exact change, you know how much money you had, cash. And you hand the person the exact change. Well, when I did that, I accidentally handed him the money. I said a different amount, but I handed him the money. Now, he could have done one of two things. He could have went on and set the pump for the amount that I said and just held over the dollar until I came back, which he did. I'll tell you how he held it over for himself. Or he could have waited till I came back and been like, ma'am, you said $4. Did you realize you gave me $5? So when I went back and said, hey, I said 4, but I meant 5. So he acted like, what? I said, I gave you. He just plumb acted like, and then he said, I said, sir, I knew exactly how much I had. And I know what I said, but I was incorrect. That's why I was back in there. I was like, oh, I thought about it. He set the pump. I said, okay, let me go back in here and let him know that I said the wrong thing so he can reset the pump or whatever. This man said, you ain't give me this. Maybe you dropped $1. At first he said it wasn't that. Then he said, maybe I dropped $1. Then I said, well, sir, if you need the money more than I do, you can have it. I said, you obviously needed it more than me. And you can have it. And then he had the nerve and audacity to say, I don't need it. While he got the dollar sitting right there on top of the register, on the outside of the register. And he don't know, my sister used to work for every gas station it is, major brand. And when she used to come home, she used to tell us everything about her job. So I know all the little tricks that they do when they stealing on a job and they leave the money outside the register, under the register, and all kind of shit like that. That's how they steal on the job. When it's over, then their drawer is not gonna be short, and so depending on how they run in their establishment, they're allowed to take it on homes. But it's stealing, especially when you have been dishonest to a customer in order to get that extra, and they didn't just honestly accidentally leave it or abandon it. That's considered abandonment. If you never see the customer again, it's considered abandoned. But if that customer coming there every day and they overpaid you, you're not supposed to keep that. You're supposed to have that right there on that register to get back to them when you see them again, when they pass through again. Well, this man gonna tell me, I ain't say all that, but I did tell him, baby, if you need that money, you can have it. Okay? You can have it. You obviously needed it more than me. When I said it like that, he felt like such a low life, like I was belittling him. So he automatically said, ah. And then he said, we. I don't know who the fuck we was, but he was the one stealing. I don't know who the fuck we is. But he said, we don't need your money. We have more money than you. And we don't need your money, obviously. And I was saying to myself, first of all, is you a legion of motherfucking demons or what? Because I thought I was talking to one person. And I probably was talking to a legion. And he addressed himself as we. I don't know who the fuck was we, but I do know this. Um, if that's what if he meant we, as in we, the Indian people, all the Indian people that do that in the stores, no. Y'all ain't, it's not. Y'all is not even the real chosen generation. That's why y'all are thieves. That's why Jews is known as thieves. That's why the word Jew is reference to a thief. And I'm not being slanderous. I'm not being derogatory or anything of that nature. Those are the facts. That in the English culture, when you say somebody, if somebody used the terminology that they got Jews, that is a negative connotation that describes the person, whoever they are. They don't have to actually be what people are calling Jewish, which is nothing. It's the most ridiculous term I ever heard. Okay? Because there's no such thing as Jewish. What that mean? You kinda like a Jew? I'm just trying to figure out, People don't think about what things mean. What does Jewish mean? You kinda like a Jew? Or what? Because you knew you was a Gentile, you called yourself Jewish? Because you was a damn Gentile. You want to be like a Jew. And the people that adopted themselves into the kingdom is the ones that's the foster kids. They calling themselves. They fostering organizations and stuff. They fostering corporations, I mean. They ain't fostering no organization. Because You can't foster something natural. That's like having, calling your child that you birthed into the world a foster child. Okay? So when you foster something, people be saying, oh, we was adopted into the kingdom. Who is we, first of all? Let me stop. Um, and they say, well, in the Bible it say we was adopted into the kingdom. Well, why you took that upon yourself? Did it say you was? I'm just asking. Did it say you was adopted? That was for some other people. And you took it upon yourself. Okay? And a lot of times when people read stuff, say like you read a romance novel or something like that, or watch a good movie about some type of injustice or something like that, and then you automatically start, depending on how um things occur, you start automatically placing yourself in that predicament, and the what ifs. You like, if this would happen to me, how would I feel about it? Type of scenario or question in your mind. And in that regard, a lot of people have determined that they will make decisions about things that they know nothing about. Nothing at all. You understand? Not a cotton picking thing. You want to start a church, but you don't know nothing about the Bible. Yeah, you can start a church, and all the people that's a little less dumber than you will definitely follow. I'm most certain of it. Because most people who go to church and are following people are not even given any kind of what do you call it? Their qualification levels are very low. If the church building is nice, they'll go. If the pastor, real low standards. If the pastor is nice looking, they'll go. If the pastor speak to them after church, they'll go. If they have food after church, they'll go. Very, 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 very low standards of what will what's driving them to even go to the doggone church, okay? Because of the fact that there isn't anything substantive for them to latch on to. And we was talking about latches the other day, but we was talking about the negative aspect of it. Today we talking about positive latches. The Bible talks about wisdom and how David talk about it. He say he cling to it, That's when you're supposed to be clingy, Supposed to be clingy to wisdom and understanding, knowledge. These days, people cling to foolishness, debacles, fights, arguments, confrontation, conflict, controversy, in adverse negativity, narcissistic behaviors and stuff like that. You know, oh man, if you talk about the narcissist, you can get you a bunch of um uh viewers because all the narcissist is watching. I'm gonna leave that right there and let y'all gauge that a little bit. Don't get that down. Squalor that right quick, cause you'll get it later. What's going on in the picture? See, because while you making all your videos on how to overcome or get the best of a narcissist, the narcissist is the only ones watching, okay, your videos. And you is a narcissist, they is a narcissist. Y'all all feeding off each other like vampires. And even the people who claiming they victims is also narcissists themselves. And I noticed that narcissists, when they do stuff to each other, it's not a big deal. Not at all. And so they belong with each other. They belong with each other. My baby sister, or should I call her a baby monster? She done turned into a drug addict monster. Her and her boyfriend slash husband, whatever you want to call it, and they have not. A lot of people will blame stuff on drugs. Okay, so I did mention the drugs because it has something to do, okay, with poor behavior, okay. But when you just weak it down up in you, you know, you can't produce nothing no better than that. And that's just the bottom line of that. Everything they nasty, everything they do is nasty. Uh, they they just nasty. They just nasty. Okay, I don't even need to get in everything. Okay, everything they do is nasty. Right? It's just their behaviors is nasty. Their attitude is nasty. They nasty with each other. They nasty with other people. They just nasty all the way around. Okay, that's what I mean. Everything is nasty. The way they communicate is nasty. The way they don't properly communicate is nasty. Okay, you know how people ghost you and all that. And see, when people talk about narcissists, all right, the ultimate narcissist is the one that's trash, and but they really think that you need them. Okay, now a lot of people, what they talking about, the narcissists that have something going on for themselves, and they try to make sure they get into positions and states points in life where they can turn their ass up to you. Okay, you got them kind. I call them Humpty Dumplings, you know, because they may get their ass up on that wall, but one day they gonna fall down. Okay, one Humpty Dumpty had the great fall. You understand? So now, when you a bum and you ain't got shit to fall down from, well, where would you fall down if you don't have no? I'm trying to be nice as I can, but if you ain't up nowhere, where would you be falling down from? Okay, so what has to happen in that type of case for that person to really experience karma, to tear that ass up, you gonna have to watch that motherfucker come up at least a little bit in their mind of what they think is a come up. Oh, baby, when they get an income tax, them narcissists is something else. When them once a check, goddamn me, got some money, motherfuckers, okay? And so I call them once upon a time. The people that had some money once upon a time. Because it ain't going to last no longer than that, but once upon a time. Uh, mm. And so, anyway, when people is peons and they think they powerful, and soon as the peons figure out they wasn't as powerful as they thought they was, that regret kick in. That's what I call hell. I don't believe in hell the way other people do. I just don't. I believe that hell is regret. People who have to live in regret all the time, I bet their life is a living hell. I remember I went through an emotional state, and during that emotional state, I began to examine myself because I had a lot of darts being thrown at me and people doing me evil and saying, oh, this is happening to you because you've done something wrong, but never even ever saying what the specific wrong was that I done. Pay attention. Because that's what narcissists do. They just throw general accusations. My sister said, you disrespectful bitch. What the fuck? Disrespectful to who and what? Girl, get the fuck out of my motherfucking face. That's why she stood ass behind that damn door and said that. Girl, I'd have stood behind the door and said that shit too. Matter of fact, I wouldn't have even stood behind. I wouldn't even had the guts. I give you some kind of something. I wouldn't even had the guts to even say that. But people, bless their heart, when they ain't nothing and they know they ain't nothing, they have to do their best they can. They have to do the best they can to try to devalue somebody else. That's all I can say, about that. Because they don't have any value of their own to account for. And in that regard, they, instead of them thinking, well, maybe I should increase my value by being more productive, that's not the way their mind run. Because they poverty mentality. I used to tell my brother-in-law, whatever you want to call it, and y'all gotta excuse me because I gotta say, you can call it whatever it is, you can just call it, it's a bird, it's a plane, it's not a, I don't know what it is, okay? I don't know. I don't know what it is. That's all I'm saying. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. I don't know what it is. Because Any man that like a woman that's grabbing her vagina like it's a penis, he want a man. And then when I used to have my broadcast, they were so rude. They be in there arguing. You can hear it in the videos. Just keep listening, watching. You hear it in the videos, all the atrocities they inflicted upon me, and without any regard that I was broadcasting live. She'll hear a lot. And you must be a pedophile. Well, bitch, why you with him if you know he a pedophile? I don't know. Anyway, because they drug addicts, and she's with him because he keep the drugs. He with her because don't nobody else want him because he nasty. And he got the nerve and audacity to be arrogant and nasty. So he think he the shit, and he know what he doing. He know how he handling himself, and he not. So any woman he could probably attract, he could attract them probably, but they ain't gonna want to be around long because he gonna run them off with his. He gets the attitude out of nowhere and just be angry and rude and mean to you, just viciously be. And then you want to talk about uh his family last name is Myers. Okay? And y'all thinking we getting off the subject. We not off the subject. We straight right on the subject. Okay? We on the subject, on the line. That's marked, you know how they say a dot, sign on the dotted line. We right on the dotted line. We talking about family and inheritance, and because the Bible, we was talking about books and Bibles and bills. Excuse me. The Bible is a book. It's a ledger. If you notice that in the beginning of the Bible, especially in the Old Testament, they do a little bit of genealogy, speaking on genealogy in the New Testament, okay? But predominantly in the Old Testament is where a lot of focus was placed on roots and lineage. Who begat who. And a lot of people laugh about that, that it's hard for them to get through reading all the begats or even getting any interest in or who begat who and all of that, right? But that is in there for a purpose, to give you an example of history of lineage. Okay. Who begat who had who. That's like your family tree. People call it a family tree. Family line, bloodline, whatever you want to call it, that is essentially what the Bible is. This is why I said all the promises in the book is not yours. Okay? All the promises in the book is not yours. First of all, the inheritance is to the seed of Abram. All right. I'll repeat that again for the people in the back. The inheritance is for the descendants of Abram. All right, those is the children of the Most High. The children of the Most High, as I know it. Okay. Now, who are the children of the Most High? Well, you would assume that I would say all black people. But you are wrong. Okay? Because all black people would not be the description of a group of people that would be distinctive of the kingdom. What I mean by distinctive of the kingdom, the Bible declares that kingdom workers or kingdom associated, all of the different people that I saw that were kingdom workers in the Bible, Levites, people who attend to prayer and worship and building up, advocating for the people. That's attending to worship. When you are a child of the Most High, those are your primary goals, so to speak. And what I mean by those are your primary goals, it's like in anything that you do, say for example, you could be doing sports, but your main goal for entering into that arena of sports is not to actually do the sport. It's to reach people and, be about your assignment. Because we all have assignments. And all the chosen ones know what I'm talking about. We all have assignments. And we all agree to that assignment. It's one mind, one body, one soul. One soul purpose. People think of a soul like your spirit man. No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about one soul business. One soul business purpose. And that one soul business purpose is what in the secular realm is referred to as a sole proprietorship. And you've heard that before, but you've also seen a lot of people say, "Oh, you don't want that. Don't get that. Don't you? You don't want that. Don't keep that. Don't. Oh no. Don't. Don't. Oh, why did you do that? No. Don't pick sole proprietorship. Why did you? You want me to change that for you? That's not good. You leaving yourself open. Oh, no, all that shit. Okay. And they will give you scenarios and stories you never seen ever possibly ever happen. Okay. Because it's just a story. Because, just because you are, an individual, okay, and you have a lot of money, it does not mean that they will be able to get it lawfully. This is the reason why a lot of them have made all types of shenanigans and scenarios to try to steal my money. because they can't just get it. They can't just get it just by suing you, because they have to actually win the case and all of that. And so there's some procedural steps that they will have to surmount in order to um, get to those assets. And so a lot of times what people will do is try to fear you into a corral where it makes it easier for them. It makes it easier for them to access it. Because when you're a corporation, you don't need another corporation um, with a bill of exchange and on the bill of exchange it say anybody, if you the holder in due course, that you can process a presentment if you a holder in due course. Um, say like, no, I ain't gonna tell y'all that, because y'all need to just stick with your own papers. All right, just stick with your own papers. That's how um Chris got into a little trouble. He was doing all right with processing his own papers, but he got into um filing liens on individual people instead of filing the lien on, I mean, it was not a lien, it's UCC1, filing, he could have, made some, um, filed some paperwork or documents to, um, solidify, okay, you're saying that I owe you, okay, I mean, I'm saying that I owe you. I mean, he was saying that they owe him. I don't owe you nothing, okay? But he was saying that whoever he put the lien on, that they owed him money, some hundreds of millions of dollars. So he leaned on that bitch ass, all right? Um, and now, even if this is what he got to understand, okay? This would made them come for him, because it was a little ridiculous, okay? It was a little ridiculous. First of all, even if you wanted to um, file an form, first you needed to form an estoppel, okay? I mean, you need to form a contract, all right? If, say for example, because I think he went to jail first, and then I don't know if he was doing that because they was trying to get him for child support or what was going on, and he just learned how to put liens on the motherfucker, so he just started leaning on bitches, okay? Um, and when he did, where he went wrong was he made claims that the persons owed him from a contract of estoppel, meaning he sent them a contract, say you owe me this money, They did not respond, and so then he acted accordingly. Instead of taking them to court, he put a lien on that ass. All right, but that's still, I mean, because he did it with certified letters, and they did not respond to it. I think that's the only reason why they are even somewhat slightly, trying to, dismiss his cases or whatever after they've already put him in jail, in prison for 3 years. But then they released him. I don't know what kind of files he filed in the system, but they released him. Okay. Now, I think he's one of those type of people that like to read and will read. Okay. But I think where he's going wrong is reading all of this. Oh, the government is fucking up materials. I think his learning skills would be best to be put on getting down to the nitty gritty of the penal systems. Okay, that um, prosecuted him, because he liked to argue so much that he could have beat his case just based on facts, on standing. And but when people want to try to argue, well, this happened, that happened, this happened, that happened, all that kind of stuff after standing is established, then you've already started arguing your case. You can't, they pretty much not going to let you backpedal and then be talking about, oh yeah, I was already arguing this case and defending myself, but really you don't even have a case. Well, why was you arguing it? That makes no sense. What are you arguing if I don't have a case? It's a catch-22. You just don't make no sense. If you arguing standing, then stand right there um, you know, until it's dismissed. Because if you arguing standing correctly, then that's the only purpose for which to argue standing, is if they don't have a case with which, to formulate a claim. If they don't have a case to formulate a claim, in other words, you may have a case, but you don't have a claim for compensation. Them two different things, two different qualifiers for that, actually makes a case equitable. And the case need to be equitable. You can't be dragging nobody in the court for $2.50, and they gotta pay hundreds of dollars. Everybody gotta be paid in that courtroom to talk about your $25, 20 cents or whatever, $1.50 or whatever it is. And you talking about you all out there before the court talking about it's the principle of it. Man, if you don't get out of here, you ain't your principle. Other people in here with some real situations going on. That's not what the court is for, your principles. And what you think should and should not be. Or how you think somebody should or should not behave. The courts can't do nothing about that. I remember, now years ago, a young man divorced his parents for being terrible parents. Well, shoot, it's a lot of us could have did that if we'd have had his mind. Be like, you was a terrible parent. I'm finna go to the children's union and see can I divorce your ass. Cause you, sir, ma'am, is a terrible parent. I remember I used to kind of somewhat tell my mama that, like, man, you is a terrible, terrible parent. Like, what mother um encourages dissension between their own children? You is a terrible parent. You is a terrible parent. You know, and I also didn't teach my kids to take up for each other no matter what. You know, like I told them, like if somebody in the wrong, don't you take up for them no matter who it is. Because if that's your family member, here's the deal. A lot of people believe that black people, if it's a family member, take up with for them no matter what. All right. But here's the deal. This to bite you in the ass rule. If you condone somebody doing wrong, then they have a right to bite you in the ass. Because you reap what you sow. If you said it was okay for them to bite somebody else, and they out in these streets acting like a wild rabid dog, behaving like they don't have any human compassion, then you deserve to get bit by that same dog. Trust me, that dog gonna bite you. Like my brother-in-law, my sister was misbehaving. I don't know what kind of man he is. Like I said, what is it that you can't speak up to your wife and say, hey man, I don't know what you and your sister got going on, but I do know this fucked up. And I wouldn't let you put my brother out. And so why would you do your sister like that? Nothing like that was ever what went on. So I tell you what, whatever consequences go to that person, go to you. When you don't speak up when somebody doing wrong, just like that probably why she want me to get the fuck out too. Is if you put me in your business, trust me, don't think I'm gonna take your side. And when he was in the right in that particular instance, I would say so. And a lot of times she was in the wrong, so it wound up being, it seemed like I was on his side. I ain't on his side. I know he was a nasty, trifling ass man. But my point is, when it was in them conversations, that's not what y'all was discussing, so it was irrelevant. You know, I'm just going by when I answer the question, is he right or is he wrong in this particular instance or in this particular conversation? Otherwise, it wasn't for me to inject my personal beliefs about this individual because I wouldn't want it. I wouldn't want it. I really wouldn't want it. I wouldn't want it at all. And my sister been known to She like a dog, a rabid dog. She gonna bite you. Okay. And when she do, nut up on him and he gonna nut up on her back, he probably gonna dot her eye or something like that. And the bitch, Lord knows, the bitch should not call me, because I'm gonna say thank God that he still lives and reigns on his throne of righteousness, that whatsoever a man or a lesbian sow, it shall also reap. And that is that, you know. And I said it like that because a lot of women with these lesbian mentality have asserted the authority of a man. Notice I said my sister husband should have spoke up, because what kind of man are you? I don't care if that is them two sisters, whatever they are. I would have spoke up as a man if I was a man. I'd have just like a lot of times situations going on with them, I had to speak up as an authority figure in the house to say, y'all need to stop this. Y'all, doing this and that. Just stop it. Love one another. I know it's not my house to, tell y'all what to do, but I ain't telling you nothing wrong. So why would you kick against that? You got to be crazy. You got to be all out retarded. And these people don't know no better. They dead. And I don't talk to the dead. Okay? So as many times I seen things, I just didn't say nothing, because I really don't hold conversation with the dead. Now I'm waiting for my opportunity to see my way out the situation. So it's so funny when a person, have you ever been in a relationship with somebody and they call themselves breaking up with you, and you was already on your way out the relationship? They just try to hurry up and break up with you first, so it can look like they broke up with you, when you had already told them in the privacy of the home or whatever, look, this don't seem like this working out. So they try to embarrass you in front of other people and act like they initiated the breakup, and break up in front of people like, yeah, I did this. That's what that bitch did. I was like, bitch, you ain't even really have nothing of mine to put out, 'cause I had no fucking clothes at your house. I was there helping your bitch ass. And I ain't want none of my clean clothes in your nasty ass house. I done put my damn clothes up in your nasty ass house. And everything I put up in that motherfucker, when I pull that motherfucker out the bag, it smell like, oh, ooh. I said, man, shit. Ain't no sense in even bathing up in this motherfucking house. Soon as I wash myself up, you walk out that door, the dog jump on you. Yeah, he unruly just like the parents. And he jump on you and get and sling slob and he stinky because they don't bathe him. I was washing the dog, and then I realized that these motherfuckers taking advantage of me, because they know I can't stand to see this house nasty like this. They don't wash no dishes. They don't bathe. They don't do shit. They don't clean the dog. They don't feed the damn dog. Got the dog chained all up like a hostage and shit. I feel so sorry for the dog. I feel sorry for the dog. I still feel so sorry for the dog. Because these people is trifling is all I get up. And I came there to try to help a little bit. I say, I'm going to go and try to help my little sister and everything. I'm going to try to help her out and everything. And now, I'm the type of person, I'll come to your house. I do what I do. Whatever I do, anything I do, it's in secret, okay? That I do from my heart. So, um, like, it's a lot of things I did for my sister. I did it for my sister, even though she had a man there. I filled in them big ass holes they had in their driveway, you know. But I did that for my sister, you know. And this bitch gonna turn on me like a rabid dog, you know, in them type of predicaments. When I speak on that, people may say, oh, I thought you said, oh, it's all about family and it's all about love and it's all about this or that, okay? But you never heard me say biological. Mm-mm. I do not ascribe to um, what they call that gentrification type of atmosphere where you cater to family members above other people in spite of all. Okay. Now, yes, you prioritize and try to include family or be a part of your family, your biological family's life or whatever, and you know, and to have them as a system of support and be a system of support. Notice this is give and take. So you have to, you know, have the other persons that are in your family as a system of support, and you as well are a part of that system of support to your other family members. In exchange, that's a trust, okay? And when people break that trust, okay, as a family member, trust is broken, okay? Once that trust is broken, then there is nothing to stop you from. Now that's when it's okay to foster. Because it's not really fostering. It's really attaching yourself to your real environment, you know, and um replanting yourself in your true natural uh, environment or DNA. I call it dynamic natural alterations. Okay? And the dynamics of that is that the family dynamic we're taught is what? The mother, father, and the children, the offspring, right? Well, in the spirit realm, it is equivalent and it is so in the same manner. But what a lot of people don't understand is that you have your natural body that came in a vessel and it was created by two separate people. Two separate people, okay? Two separate people. Two separate families. Now, one of those families or both of those families um, make up generations of people and types of people. So that's why in the Bible it tell you who begat who and this and that and this and that. And then if you look, when I was reading, I would stop when it said, explaining anything, right? And it say a whole lot of begats, but in between those begats, if you pay attention to a pattern, they're explaining what the mindset of that generation, so to speak, was by denoting what type of character of the person that they're speaking of is, if the character kind of stood out. Like, oh, and such begat such and such, and he ruled the kingdom, and he was not um well, it didn't say not honorable. I can't remember the exact words but they would say that whether he did or he didn't rule in honor, okay? And when they talking about kings and kingships, okay, and heirs to the kingdom and so forth, and they talk about Saul and how he acted dishonorably, but they went into depth to speak on him. And I think the significance of speaking in depth about Saul is that um, Saul was David's pretend contender, okay? And basically, what I mean by pretend contender is that you're going to always have the artificial, the one. Like Neo in the Matrix. Um, you're going to always have the artificial, the one. I mean, because if you really, really look at the Matrix, Neo wasn't the fucking one. The Oracle was the one that everybody was going to get information. How in the fuck was the person getting the information the one? That didn't make sense. And although I like that movie, you got to make it make sense for me. You got to make it make sense. And that part right there fell off. It didn't go with the rest. It didn't make no sense. That if this one person was so powerful and he learned how to shapeshift and all this here shit, but if you all that smart, well, why in the hell you keep taking your ass to the Oracle? The Oracle ought to be coming holler at you if you so clever. That's all I'm saying. We need to come holler at you. We don't need to go see the Oracle then. But meanwhile, all 3 episodes they going to see that Oracle. Something in the milk ain't 3, 4 episodes, whatever it was. I ain't like the other ones, so I didn't watch them much. I watched them enough to know I ain't like them. And but I do know on the other episodes they kept going. They changed oracles and everything. And the second oracle was the real one. I can't explain what I mean by that. I seen that in the vision. That second oracle. The one that was on the first movie, I don't know where she came from. She was an imposter too, I guess. I don't know. But I reckon they want you to believe the oracle shapeshifted into this, into the, the different one that you saw on the second movie. They ain't even try to explain that, off in the movie. They could have been like, okay, when I transported through this, whatever, I changed in my image and this and that, or whatever. Explain that shit on through. Anyway, that's just the movie. But realities are depicted through movies. This is the reason why people don't understand that the realest shit be right there in front of your face. You think it's a movie. You only think it's a movie, but you only think it's a movie. They're depicting reality. It's like us embarking upon the understanding of sovereignty in itself is very similar to the system of the matrix. It's like a lot of the sovereign community have experienced backlash and retaliation for asserting our rights, and even those who do it respectfully, have been met with some brute force and just utter disrespect, which have escalated their cases to federal court claim towards in federal jurisdiction in the Supreme Court, And so, because um, sovereignty scares people, it makes them feel inadequate, or it makes them feel like uh, you calling the lone duo their ass, you coming to rain on their parade. And so anybody, if you raining on their parade, they're gonna respond negatively to that, okay? And so that's basically what's going on in this dispensation of time. I know you probably wonder why I say this dispensation of time, but that's a term used by time travelers, okay, and people who can um, interectly, not intellect, interectly, intellect, uh, uh, galaxy, intergalaxy is basically what it is. You're traveling into and out of different galaxies. All right, inter, like you say, interstate. I know my English is bad. I speak something like English, all right, but follow along if you can, and I'm gonna try to slow it down and maybe pronounce everything out as best I can. But I drove 18 wheelers, so I have a class CDL driver license, right? But uh, what was I getting ready to say? If you have license for interstate traveling, that's within in the state, okay, just within in the state parameter. Intrastate, I mean, interstate is federal, okay, anywhere, different states. Intrastate is in the one state where you domicile where you live. All right. And some people do those type of trips, um, hot shots or whatever you uh, want to call it. They run trips in trust-state, which is inside, just within inside of their state borders, and they don't go outside of those borders. All right. And so basically, when I say in this dispensation of time, is what I'm saying. This information is valid in this dispensation of time, uh, like the era. You know how they talk about eras during the baby boomers era and so forth. And that's what I mean during this era of how people do things. And even when you read the Bible, people need to understand that many of the customs, rituals, and so forth were performed by people of that time. And it's a lot of rituals, lots of rituals. But if you read on and continue to read, it's a lot of different warning signs that we should not do rituals. Not the rituals like our natural native rituals, cleaning our body. Those are rituals. Okay. Cleaning your body. Meditating, what they call going within, meditating, the same thing. But that is a like a spiritual way of cleansing, going in, clean yourself from the inside out. Okay. David said, "Purge me with hyssop." That's what I mean by Bibles and bills. What do Bibles got to do with bills? Well, it's a standing note due in that publication. It's a standing note due. And a lot of the statutes, codes, uh, policies, and procedures of your state that you refer to as a law, or that lawyers deceptively refer to as laws. And I shouldn't say deceptive, because a lot of them don't know no better either. So let me say possibly, very possibly, they trying to deceive you. They know better. Okay. But, well, they should. And statutes and laws are not the same thing. That's why you'll hear, Chris, many times you'll hear some of the people that I have on my channel that are foreigners, and generally from the UK area of the globe, and they'll call their court officers and judges magistrates and stuff like that, and they have different terms for the words we use: lawyer, attorney, judge, court. They don't even call court court I don't think. Um, they, I think they call it magistrate or something like that. But the point is that even though many of the structures in the way that we do things here is based upon what is done there, okay? It's based upon that. So it's just based, let's be clear, it's just based upon that. But it evolved to its own creature, so to speak, that got so big and so powerful it said, hey, I want to be my own individual thing. Okay. And it want and the United States wanted to extradite itself. It wanted to separate itself. It wanted to say, no, we are our own whole own nation over here. We don't have to do, what other people are doing. We got our own thing going on over here, and we willing to fight for it. And the British was known for going around um, slaughtering people for not agreeing with them, to say the least, basically. And they didn't play about their citizens. It was supposedly, this is what I heard, y'all. Now, I don't know how true it is, and I sure ain't gonna stick by it, okay? But it was a time and a period when, if this how the British was, okay? And it was a lot of niggas, okay? Black people. That if you even speak against them, okay, they would turn on you. And when they turn on you, it it's like the narcissists are today. It was like that. It was so vicious and cruel that people would, nobody wanted to, no problems with the British, okay? Nobody wanted no motherfucking problems. If you did something to one of their citizens, they were known to be ruthless and this and that, right? Because the Neanderthals, which was, remember I told you the British was black people. Now what you see is the Neanderthals there, okay? And the Neanderthals won because the Neanderthals had gotten extinct at one point in time, okay? And they was so determined to live this time. They strove to live. They fought to live because they would just die out. The black people, when they would have white babies or whatever like that, the reason why the black scholars and everything that came out of Greece, and I know y'all think ain't nothing but white people was scholars and stuff like that, but y'all are so mistaken. Most of the most famous scholars and people who, mathematicians and this and this and that, they were black men. They called them gods because their stature was big and strong, and you know how black men are, the boom boom boom, and so because they had the largest penises, they were considered like gods, okay? Because they like, okay, you packing the biggest one. And when the men was getting into homosexuality and all of that, um, in the days of Sodom and Gomorrah, okay, they was looking at each other penises. And that's what started all this about the black man got the big penis. Because in the homosexual period, y'all think y'all just came out with something new with this homosexual drove of homosexuals, okay? But that ain't nothing new. Y'all forget about in the Bible when God uh, supposedly washed the whole world from their filth. Is because one of the people tried to have sex with God sent an angel down here, and they tried to have sex, raped the man tried to rape a male um, angel. Okay, that's just a figure, you know. It was to say that even a man that's innocent, that the homosexuals just didn't have no restraints to violate. It's the point. And that is the reason homosexuality is forbidden, because it drives uh, the spirit of death. It doesn't got anything to do with sexuality. It drives the spirit of death. Because if a man is placing his seed in boo-boo, there is no way that seed can grow in the boo-boo. And quite naturally, you know, when you see this, it's a scripture in the Bible that said that man shouldn't to waste their seed on the ground. In other words, and pull out, you know, the pull outs. And so it basically say you're not supposed to waste your seed, right? If it goes into the woman, you know, you got your little swimmers, they swimming upstream, they looking around for some eggs attached to whatever like that. They're at least in motion doing their function of what they are supposed to do, and they, you know, headed in the right path. Okay, whereas with homosexual behavior, you're not only wasting the seed on the ground, it's getting swallowed, it's getting left in a pile of shit, whatever, you know, or a little sacky, you know, what they call glove, uh, you know, that's real talk. That's where your seed is being left at when you do that. So, in that regard, there is nothing sovereign um, in that kind of behavior, because of the fact that sovereign people understand that perpetuation is very important. I was watching this video that said, and Now, this somebody supposed to be speaking for the law. He don't even realize he's speaking against it. He's reading some type of law. And it said in there, not now he think it's the law, the person reading it. So he dressed it as it was the law. That's not the law. It said that, no business, okay, no individual, she'll, have a monopoly and so forth and so on, right? Now, he was trying to make the point that of what the corporations are doing, monopolizing different industries and so forth, like that. Well, I can agree with him on those terms as well as my original point. My original point is this, is that if ever you want to make a case on anything, if you start with the grounds that you making your claim from, they call it throwing it against the wall to see if it stick. You don't do that. That's when you are unsure of what is the foundation or the basis of your claim or your right or your due or your whatever, your belief system of belief, your theory. What is the basis of the claim? Got to go back to the basis of the claim. If you don't go back to the basis of the claim, you cannot then climb your way out. You can't see how to build from there. Need that foundational structure. And then you can easily see how to, put the walls on, put a little mirror. It's that everybody, when you was a kid, first, you don't remember, but they taught you what was the most important when you was in kindergarten. And they had your teacher, your first kindergarten, first grade teacher, had you draw out a little house. And she maybe stood behind you, held your hand, help you draw it out and say, okay, a house supposed to look like this. It's supposed to have, like, okay, it's how to, like a little box. And she make a little box. And then she put the little roof on the top, a little anchor, not anchor, the little, roof and stuff. And then, she may even scribble some little grass in, show you how to put your landscaping and so forth. Home improvements. I'm done. Put you some windows in and everything like that. So, you understood a window to be a square and like a cross in the middle, one line down, one line vertical, vertical, and one line horizontal in the middle, and that depicted a window. If that's how you draw a window, right? And you learned that at a very, very young age. Just imagine how things have evolved. Not just imagine, but see it by perception, how things have evolved to now a window is something you tap on your phone, Wow. And your phone is glass. But isn't that something? The windows on your house is glass. And the windows on your phone, the face of your phone is glass. And you tap on those windows and open them up. Just like you used to go to a friend's house, you tap on the door and they open up. Hey, I'm out here. Like, oh, okay. And come open up the door, You had to tap on their side window. Oh, okay, I went back too far, y'all. The real human days. It was the good old days, y'all. Don't be mad at me because I'm going to romanticize about them good old days when humans was humans.